In 2016, while mudlarking on the south bank of the Thames at Southwark, I found a lovely piece of porcelain tea bowl or handleless teacup with hand-painted Chinese-style decoration. It was so stained when I found it inside that I thought it was Chinese export porcelain, but on washing it I realised it was soft-faced porcelain and likely to come from an English factory and date to the middle of the 18th century. But which factory? This is the moment of discovery when I found the piece on the Thames. I might actually keep that bit of cup there because it does actually go from foot ring to rim and it's brown glazed inside, so it might be sort of Dutch East Indies porcelain or something like that. We'll have to give it a quick wash later and have a look and see what it actually is. An exact attribution for my fragment of porcelain eluded me until I bought this book by Stephen Goss called British Blue and White Porcelain Saucers, a Guide to Pattern Identification. In the Vauxhall section of his book, he illustrates this lovely tea saucer, which would have been the saucer that matched the bowl that I found in Southwark. So as you can see, the style is exactly the same, maybe even by the same hand, with the style of the Chinese gentleman, fence, the rushes, the overhanging tree, even the 4 dots underneath the fence there. So I would say that is a good attribution. Also, it's a little bit, it's got a little bit runny in the glaze, but you can see the style of the inside decoration of the rim matches that perfectly. So what are some tips in deciding whether your porcelain is soft paste or hard paste? Chinese porcelain, export porcelain, and a lot of European porcelain is hard paste, whereas the British factories preferred a soft paste recipe. So soft paste porcelain is a little bit whiter, less glassy, somehow a bit warmer to the look than the hard paste porcelain is glassy. You can almost see in the profile the sort of frit of glassiness of the glaze on top. It's got a sort of bluish tinge to it as well, if you look at it like that, and it chips like glass. It's a lot more glassy in style than the soft paste British porcelain. After about 1800, a new style of porcelain was introduced called bone china, which was made by adding bone into the formula, which is how they produced translucent pottery in the 19th century. The blue of Vauxhall porcelain is often described as wet looking or sticky blue, and it is a very deep, intense colour that does somehow look as though it hasn't dried properly. So I was delighted to find that my fragment of tea bowl came from one of the London porcelain factories. The Vauxhall porcelain manufactory was situated on the south bank of the Thames and was started in 1753 by John Saunders, who was an existing Delftware potter, and Nicholas Crisp, who was a jeweller with premises in London. So it's likely that John Saunders had the potting know-how and Nicholas Crisp provided the investment. It's not known where they got their porcelain recipe from, but it is known that they were given a license to mine soapstone in Cornwall. So the porcelain that they produced has soapstone as one of its ingredients. The factory remained open for 10 years until 1763, when unfortunately Nicholas Crisp was declared bankrupt and the factory closed, with the effects being sold off the next year. A very interesting time in porcelain terms for this country. Only about 10 years after the first true porcelain was produced in England. There were several other factories in London at this period, so competition would have come from Chelsea and from Bow, who were both producing porcelain in London, as well as other manufacturers in England, such as Derby and Worcester. Worcester had a large warehouse in London for selling to the London market. Also competition from Chinese and Japanese export porcelains, which were also coming into the capital and being sold at this time. Vauxhall porcelain is very rare these days, so the bulk of the output sold to people using teawares as the fashion for tea increased throughout the period. Most of the production would be now archaeology, fragile porcelain, easily broken, and very little survived until this day. So, like my piece, you're more likely to come across a piece of Vauxhall porcelain in the ground than you are in the sale room. But now that I've got a positive attribution for it, I will be recording it on the Portable Antiquities scheme so that everyone can enjoy this little piece of early English porcelain. Thank you for watching.